All right, this is the debriefing video for the meeting on March 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Roll call at the start, invocation, and pledge. The roll call, Tracy wasn't here because she's at training, the clerk. So Lexi, the deputy clerk, was taking minutes. Approval of the agenda, past meeting minutes, treasurer's report, paying bills, fire department report, planning commission report, maintenance and grounds report. Pretty normal. If you want them, go ahead and read them. Next, we had the first public comment. We had a few comments about Central Road. That ended up being the big issue over the meeting for the most part. Next, we get into our fire millage. And the first one is about the renewal resolution. So resolution 2023-12. This passed. It's to renew the operating millage for the fire, obviously. The second was fire millage increase, resolution 2023-13. This one wasn't controversial in the meeting. No one showed up. It had gotten a little controversial on Facebook. I'll do a separate video going specifically over some of the fire millage controversy. Essentially, I think some people are confused over the words because they don't want someone with the name fire in the name of the job, apparently, to be going to medical calls is essentially what it is. Or they just want less of that type of medical care, I guess is the idea. Next, we have the land sale request on Poppy and Calumet. The guy that was requesting these three properties together near his house had come in before the meeting. He didn't want to come to the meeting and didn't want to make public comment. And essentially, he was saying that he was mean. And he wanted one of them removed, the large piece. So it's just two small pieces that end up passing. That's the first step, first of three for the land sale. Next, we have the deputy treasurer on the Choice One bank account. That passed. Next, we have the public comment resolution 2023-17. This came out because McCabe is always trolling the township. Obviously, it's it's his hobby, but it's a it's a pretty intense hobby with him. So, which is funny. And at the one meeting, he was blathering at the end, and he'd obviously gone quite a long while, and everyone wanted me to stop him. The board wanted me to stop him. The room wanted me to stop with him. I made sure. I was like, as long as everyone understands why McCabe is a bad person, otherwise he can keep going and he'll demonstrate it, right? He will explain it. And so we ended up adjourning the meeting. He was still up there, and he didn't like that, so he had FOIA requested, Freedom of Information Act requested the policy about the time limits on public comment. And there was a resolution passed by the board in 2011, resolution number 9. Looked in 2011 resolution book, and it's not in there. I'm guessing someone took it out for reference at some point in the past, but there's 8, there's 10, now one in between. Luckily, I put them on the board agendas as 3 minutes. At the front and at the end, we don't have to include 2, but I like to hear the public comment stuff. It's part of my former idealism of what I came into office with. And so we approve it on there by the board, but we also wrote up a resolution in here too. I wrote up a resolution specifically addressing it. Next, we have the road commission contract. One change on this is that with that portion of Michelinda that was paved, the road commission likes to do chip seal the next year for a decently cheap cost. It makes the road last quite a lot longer. They would split the cost with us. Project is $28,000, so $14,000 to us. I had them rewrite the contract for that, and we approved that version of the contract. Next, we have the Cedar Creek Fire Department contract. This is for the next 3 years. I had one minor change of changing the word Michigan in the first line to municipal. That passed. Sewer rate increase resolution 2023-16. It's part of trying to sort out those millions of dollars and that we're missing from the sewer fund. And so we sold the extra property or some of the real estate to generate the extra revenue to put into that fund, $500,000, and then did a large increase last year for sewer rates. And then as part of the study we had done on that, was projecting a 4% yearly increase. So that's what we approved here. Next, there was the Thunderbird Special Use Resolution 2023-11. This motorsports parks are weird. Their special uses go through the planning commission and they come back through the board. I would like to see that straightened out, but it's I'm not gonna. I mean, the stuff that it's a hopeless cause, straightening all this stuff out. And so that's one, they requested an extension to run until midnight if they run over, right? If a race was not able to be completed, and to finish up the race, the planning commission had pushed to the board as 11:45. And so that got approved along with concessions on a permanent basis. And the time extension is just for 1 year. Next, there's the Spark Grant hearing and resolution 2023-14. No one public commented on it. It is for continuing forward, passing the resolution to continue forward with the Spark Grant project for Beagle. That passed. Next, we have the Water Policy Board alternate, because in the last meeting, the board had put Tracy, who was the alternate, onto the regular spot for the Water Policy Board. Christy said that she was willing to be the alternate on this, and the board approved that. Next, we have Staple and Westlake Streetlight Resolution 2023-15. So this has been requested, I believe, sometime in the fall. And it takes a little while for consumers to do their engineering, get everything written up, or to pass a resolution and assign a contract as well, even though it's only $100 for them to put this up. And that passed, so that should be happening when consumers does it. Next, we have the board review poverty exemptions. Seems like we'd be able to pass this and just say updates with the federal guidelines, and that's are in charge of it for the most part. And you can't, so we have to prove it every year. That passed. Next, we have this Central Road issue, and there was a reporter here from White Lake Beacon that specifically came about Thunderbird, but he called me before, and I told him you should look at the packet. I post them online. And there'll probably be a number of decently controversial things in there, so maybe some interesting stuff. And he came in with an idea about doing something on Thunderbird, and I think he went away with doing something on Central Road. So that might be in the Beacon this week. And so there was more discussion from the board on a decent amount. There was a decent amount of the first public comments about it too, back and forth in different ways. People complaining about complaining, people saying someone can't pay for it, other people can pay for it, that a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, that's how all those discussions go. I guarantee every single special assessment will be a disaster. Guarantee it. Willing to bet money on it. And so this one is, as always, and decent amount of discussion among the board. I didn't want to just move past it because no one on the board is willing to make a motion. But I didn't want to just move past it because what do I do with it then? Right? I gotta put a bunch of effort into it, waste a bunch of time on these types of things. And then a few $1,000s we're into it too. And so if it's going to go down, I'd at least like to see it go down, whatever happens with it. So I made the motion for approving it and voted for it too. I mean, that to a certain extent doesn't particularly matter either, right? Because people stay after and talked with me about the road, and the reporters stayed after too. And if we didn't pass it, then someone would stay and report it. If we did pass it, someone would stay and talk to me about it. And it doesn't really matter what we do. Someone will talk to me about it and complain, right? So that's a universal, so not a big deal either way on any of these things. But this one split 3-3. So and this is odd. The people that were talking afterwards, they're saying, well, it can't come back up for a vote. And someone had asked me at the end, right? Some of the public comment section. It's like, no, it can't come back for a vote. That's the normal thing. But I told the people after the meeting that I'll look into it with the lawyer that I've been working with on this project. And he got back to me and he said we don't have a specific policy adopted that he knows of where we can't bring it back, so it can come back to a vote. I thought there might be a technical thing. If you tie, it means not yes, right? Because it didn't get approved. And so that confuses people a lot. I don't know. Well, I guess in elections, what happens with ties is they draw a name out of a hat, right? Or they flip a coin or they draw straws. I guess that's what people expect to happen if a board ties. We could probably make a policy on that. That'd be kind of funny, entertaining. And so on this, it can come back to the board. I guess I probably will bring it back. Basically, the disaster will continue. It really doesn't matter how it goes about. The disaster will continue in some way. So I'll probably bring it back to the board. I'm guessing, I mean, like I mentioned, Linda, we had one objection all the way through, but we didn't have the 5 other objections that ended up occurring until a few days before the final hearing. So bring this back to the board. If that gets approved, we'll go to the next month. We'll probably get objections in there. That'll probably be the key, right? The last minute objection type of thing. So we'll see how it goes. But there was various discussion. Obviously, with resolution 2 not passing, we didn't do anything with resolution 3, right? We can't pass resolution 3 without resolution 2 being in place. I guess we can, but it would be nonsensical. Next, we did the senior millage allocation, and that the board is kind of stuck on it in various ways. And so we postponed it. Well, we didn't take a specific vote on it, but I can bring it to the board next month and whatever they want to do with it. Next, we have the ZBA alternate, and 2 people that were interested in this. Mark ended up getting approved for it, and it'd be nice to have just one alternate on the ZBA because it's only a 5-person board, and so it's decently easy. You know, if 2 people don't show up, then you're at the point where everyone has to agree, and it'd be nice to have an alternate down there. Next, we have the McCabe FOIA appeal hearing. You know, more of the McCabe stuff. And on this, as he's just rolling in tons of FOIA requests to a number of different people here. And then they go through the clerk's office. So trying to hit Tracy with him essentially. And we'll keep seeing him for various stuff, I'm sure. He's in his appeal right now for his tax exemption. He wanted to get me to override the assessing and, nevertheless. So the board ended up just passing, upholding the idea that we put the 3-minute time limits on the public comment on the agenda, which is approved by the board. Next, we have budget adjustments. This was a discussion item. A few different things changed. I didn't include the full budget. We'll see that this Saturday. So, I mean, a lot of stuff coming up here. And because I'll have this debriefing video out today, I tried to get it out the next day. It's approaching midnight, and I had to get the packets out today for the annual meeting and the budget hearing on Saturday. So I worked on that most of the day. I'll get this video out, and then I'll get out a video on that one as well. And then I'll have a specific video on the fire millage. And we'll obviously have the annual meeting and the budget hearing itself. I'll do a debriefing on that, and then we have a ZBA meeting next week as well. So a lot of stuff occurring as always to a certain extent. Just a few things about the budget on there basically. And then next we had, and part of that because there's an extra marijuana tax now that the state is sharing, or share revenue from the state. Nolan was saying we should apply that to these people on Central Road to give them a discount on taking the road essentially. Then there was the second public comment, and one person had mentioned encouraging people to come to meetings, that basically no one knows anything because they don't come to meetings. There was a bunch about Central Road from the board and from the public. So a bunch of different stuff about Central Road. There was a lie about brining that was brought up, that we canceled, kicked the road commission out of brining our roads, and we're doing it on our own. It's just a straight lie. Super common. I've never been in a position where people lie to me about me so much. And so very common lie. It comes in all different varieties. I re-encountered the lie about me stopping the development of internet in the township, and I shot a specific rumor video on that one. So maybe I should shoot a specific rumor video on this one. Probably should. Why not? Do a video each day during the week, right? Why not? And so there was that. There was a comment about we should brine every month. And so it's the first one, the road commission splits with us. So we paid $27,000, and the road commission pays $27,000 to brine I think it's 28.3 miles of dirt roads in the township. After that, the township covers it alone, so it's $50,000 a time after that. I mean, obviously, if we brined every month during the summer, we would spend a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So basically, we could do that instead of doing any upgrades to roads. I guess that would be a trade-off. One way some people would go. That seems stupid to me. But nevertheless, that was proposed. Yeah, and then I believe that's it. So that is where we are on that. Followed up, there was comments on Central Road about doing it by acreage. I followed up with that. Even the guy that was proposing it, after I ran the numbers, thought it was a dumb idea. Anything else, feel free to shoot me an email, supervisor@daltontownship.org, or call my direct line at the office, area code 231-332-6700. Otherwise, this is Jeff Martin signing off until whatever the next thing is.